Okay. So for this session, this is going to be the basics of Google and Google Classroom, okay? So if we're going too slow, you can write that in the chat as well, and we can try to make sure we're all on the same pace. But this session is just the basics of Google and Google Classroom. So we're assuming that a lot of the people who are on this session are new to the platform and want to learn some basics of how you use that in your classroom. Do we have any questions at this point?
With college-age people who are on spring break, ignoring please aside. And
if we're hearing someone's TV, so if everyone can make sure you're muted, please. I can't see who it is. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna start by sharing my screen. So you're gonna see what's on my computer so that we can make sure everyone knows what's the basics. Everyone in Hamilton County, all teachers do have a HCDE Gmail that's different from your Outlook email, but that's how you're going to log on to your Gmail account, and we'll use Google different devices. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you all. Am I good, Kristen? So this is what everyone should start with. You're going to start by logging into Chrome. Okay, so a lot of people suggest that you actually log into Google Chrome, and that'll make sure that you're already logged into all the Google apps. So in the top right of your Chrome box, you should see a circle, and that's where you are actually going to log in to Chrome. Okay, so you click that. It should, if you're not signed in, give you a box that says sign in, and that's how you're actually going to sync everything. It's kind of like a one login. So if you're logged into Chrome, you're also logged into Google Drive, Google Classroom, and all the Google apps. Okay, do we have any questions at this point about logging into Chrome? Right, so once you're logged into Chrome, Chrome actually works just like most of the document programs that we're aligned to. So it houses in Drive. So if you're logged on to Chrome, you can go ahead and go to Google Drive. You can do that by just going to drive.google.com. Or if you're on the main page, you can do that by clicking the apps button. That's what I call the little box, all the dots. It's apps, and you can click that by going to Drive.
I didn't mean to click on. Well, it's yeah.
Okay, is someone having a question? Okay, so everyone should now, this is how my Drive looks. I have a lot of folders and different things to make sure that everything is organized for me. So if you're in Drive, I tell people when I think of Google, all roads lead to Google Drive. Everything starts and in there. It's where everything is stored in the Google network. So on the left-hand side, you should see a button that says New. You see Priority Files, My Drive, Shared Drive, and then different things for your drive. So if you push New, this is how you actually create folders. So if I wanted to create a folder to keep myself organized, I do that there. You also have folder upload. So if you wanted to upload a folder straight from your computer, you have the ability to do that. This is how you create files. So you have Google Docs. It's just like Microsoft Word. Google Sheets is Microsoft Excel, and Google Slides is just like PowerPoint. You also have different things like Google Forms. If you want to make an assignment inside of a form for self-scoring quiz or test, that's possible as well. And then you have all the other fun stuff to Google, like drawing and maps, and Google Sites are all available for you as well. Okay, so if everybody can show me, is this too low level or is this about where we need to be? Okay, thank you all. Okay, so inside Drive, one of the things that you also have the ability to do, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to start a folder. One of the things that I always do is to try to keep my Drive as organized as possible. That just helps me, so when I'm looking for something, I can actually find it. So if you start a folder, you can see on mine, I have this folder says continuing education, English 9 and 10. And everything that I'm making for continuing education, I have put inside that folder so that I can have access to it really quickly. So we're just gonna push new, we're gonna create a folder. We want to put intro to Google. Now that folder popped up on my Drive. So anything that I do from this section will be inside of there. With inside that, you were also able to make a blank document. And I just did that again by pushing start and then Google Docs. And then the first thing I always do, and I recommend that you inform your students to do the same thing, is to make sure as soon as you make the document, you title it. Okay. So as you can see, Google Docs looks just like you see when you're see something in Microsoft. You have file, edit, view, all the normal tools that you're used to. You also have, what I want to show you is a share button, okay? So if you want to share a file that you made with another teacher, you just put share and then you can type in their email address. So if I wanted to share this with Kristen, I would just start typing in her email address, and because it's Hamilton County, everything is synced there. So I can click her name pretty quickly. You can also get a link. If you click get shareable link, you can get a link to that file to share with someone or send an email as well. Any questions about Google Docs? So just like Docs, you have Google Sheets and Google PowerPoint. Sheets is like used just like a spreadsheet, but Google Slides is where I do a lot of my work with inside the Google platform, because it's where you can make presentations, it's where you can make worksheets for students, and anything that you actually want to share with your class. And as you can see, it's a very friendly application. Very friendly application that you can use to do a lot of different things. They do have preloaded themes that you can import. And if you want to import a theme, it'll recognize that you have other presentations on your computer that you've used in the past, and it'll allow you to use something from there as well. It's also, one of the things that I like is that you can insert videos straight from YouTube into Google Slides. And that's something that's always been beneficial to me if I want to actually embed a video that I want my students to see straight into Google Slides. At this point, do we have any questions about just the background of Google? So last thing I'm going to say before Kristen takes over is that in the top, everyone should see a lot of different applications that have been pinned by Hamilton County. So if you're looking for something really quick, you can put things up here yourself, but Hamilton County does have things, if you're logged in to Chrome, that are already pinned, like Google Classroom and Google Drive. I have Kami pinned, and I have also like Grammarly, and I pin it up to help me with different things when I'm typing. And then they also have Screencastify. It's a video recording app that Hamilton County has pinned recently, and so you might see that in your applications pinned at the top as well. Any questions before we move on to Google Classroom? And that's where we're going to spend the most of our time today. Okay, so Kristen, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to let you take over.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I think somebody had a question about the video tab. It's called Screencastify, and it's new. I played around with it a little bit yesterday, pretty user-friendly, but I think there's going to be more trainings on that specifically, but it's a way for you to record yourself, and then it's really easy to send it out via Google Classroom. And then there's another question, how do you pin something up there? Ashley, do you want to take that?
So you pin something up there, like, so if you're going to download an app, most of the apps that you get will give you that option. I'm trying to see. So if I will go to more tools and I go to extensions, it's actually just an extension and it'll allow you to pin things up there. So these are the things that are currently pinned in mine. But if I wanted to like search an extension, I just went to the Chrome store, and let's say if I'm trying to see something that I can pin that I don't already have.
Ashley, do you want to share your screen again so
Yep,
they can
I
see
did.
this?
Yep. Sorry. Okay. So what I did was I just went to extensions as if I was looking for something. So if you want to go, you go to click the three dots next to your HCDE email sign and you go to tools. If I want to look for an extension, but I'm going to go to extensions. It brings me here and I can go to the Chrome store. I'm going to see if I can go Google. I don't know if it'll allow me. So here we go. So I did an editor for doc slides and sheets. And if I click add to Chrome, okay, that one's blocked by the administrator. Let's look at poll everywhere. So when I click poll everywhere, I can just put add extension. And now we see poll everywhere in my extension bar. Okay, so you do that from the web store under the extensions, and then you can just put add an extension. So essentially all of these are extensions that take you to a website. So now when I click it, this is poll everywhere and it's connected to Google Slides. Did that answer the question? Okay. Yep. All right. I'm going to let you take over again, Kristen.
Okay. Good morning. Kristin Barbree from East Ridge High School, and I'm going to be talking to you all about Google Classroom. Just the basics, nothing too advanced, but enough to get you started if you aren't already using it. And if you are and you have something that you want to share or extend on or anything like that, just unmute and chime in, and we'll all just we'll learn together like we've been doing. All right. So you should see my Google screen here. So first things first, how to get to Google Classroom. And there's a few different ways you can do that. Here, Ashley was talking about the apps button. So if you click on that, it's got all of your major things that you would use with Google, and you can click on Classroom there. Also, I have Classroom pinned up on my extension list up here, so I could click that, or I could just type in classroom.google.com. So those are some different ways you could get to Google Classroom. All right, so you can see here I have many different classes because I use this, been using it all year pretty much. And I wanted to point out a few things before we create a class and talk about adding students and all of that. These two, I am actually a student in. So here it says Future Ready Institute, and Olivia Bagby, the Institute lead at Central Office, created this class. And I joined it as a student. So that's something else that you can do. Up here, we've got one for our English department. So if it's something that you're wanting to use collaboratively with your colleagues at school while we are not having face-to-face time, that's another thing that you could use Google Classroom for. But these are all of my classes. If you've never used Google Classroom before, you won't have any of these, and it's going to ask you to create your first class. And there's a button up here. It's a plus sign, and it says create or join a class. And I'm going to click that. And it says join or create. And I'm going to click create. So then this pops up. It's going to ask you for some different information about your class. The only thing you really have to put is the class name. So I'm going to put, let's see, Google Classroom Training. And if you are a high school teacher, you may have different sections, different subjects, and put your room number. But I usually just put the class name with the section up there. Then you'll hit create. And it takes just a few seconds to think about it. There we go. All right, are there any questions so far? I'm gonna stop pretty frequently to get questions. Ashley is available in the chat. But are there any questions about finding Google Classroom or creating a class?
And if you have a question, you can also unmute yourself when Chris pauses and ask that question as well. So the chat is available, but we don't mind if you just unmute yourself and ask that question as well.
Of course.
This is Brandy Harlan.
Hey.
I have a question about, could you please show us one more time the tab at the top, what that looks like? When we want to create the join or create?
Yes. Are you talking about this right here with the plus
arrow?
sign?
Yes. I'm sorry. I had a thing covering it up. Okay. I got it now. Thank you. Plus sign.
Yeah. And a little thing about Zoom, I'm glad you said that because I had to move mine too. Like it'll say who's talking and it's a little box, but you can move that box anywhere on your screen.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it was covering mine up too. I'm glad you said that.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So just to review, if your tab was covering it up with Zoom, this is the join or create a class button. And then I clicked that, and then I clicked create a class, and then that's what got me to doing the class name. And then once it created the class, this popped up. All right, awesome. All right, so we have created a class, and now we're going to talk about the 4 tabs here at the top, and just some general information. And if you have questions or anything to add, please use chat or unmute your mic. So once you get into your class, you want to obviously have students in your class, and there's a couple of different ways that you can add people. So right here, there's a class code. And if you click on this little display box, it pops up real big. So if we were in the classroom and we were having students join a class, this is something that they would type in to join your class, but we are not in the classroom. So however you're communicating with your students or parents, you can give this code as an entry. Or if you go over to people, you can add students here. And it's a little tedious, but you would have to type in student emails. So like, I played around with this earlier. D'Angelo. So he's not in one of my classes already, but D'Angelo Washpon is a student at Eastridge High School. So I kind of had to search for him, but you could click and then invite, and he would get an email inviting him to the classroom. So that's how you would add people. Any questions about adding students? All right. Another thing that you
Sorry,
could,
I'm sorry. I had a question. I just did I forgot to unmute myself.
it's okay. It's okay. What do you have?
I had a question because I teach second grade, and
Mhm.
we've been trying to fool around with this. And I was on one of these trainings yesterday, and one gentleman said that if your kids are not familiar with Google Classroom, it's kind of a tall task to get them going on it. But you just said something about the class code. So if I put that class code into like my class dojo message, could the kids put what would they do if they have never used Google Classroom before? Would that be appropriate, or am I going to have to do all the email things?
So I think you could use the code. They would, just like I did, go to classroom.google.com and then hit that plus button and then join a class, and that's where they put in the code. So you might have to be like really detailed in your instructions and maybe do some screenshots. But it would be easier on you if you think that they could handle doing that. It'd be easier on you for them to put the code in.
Okay. I'm trying to learn about this. I know I'm doing Class Dojo, and that's sufficient right now, but I thought, boy, I better start learning about this because this is going to be the future for us, I think, based on what's happening now. So I'm trying to learn so that I'm ready to go next year, or if they say everybody has to. Anyway, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna
right.
I want to answer a few questions that are in the chat really quick, Kristen. I'm sorry. So every student in Hamilton County does have a school issued Gmail. There are a few things, few ways. Your tech person at your school can get those to you. So we received an email on Monday giving us a list of the emails for every student at Howard High School. But one of the ways that you can also figure that out is that the students have a student number, and their email is usually their initials and their student number. So mine would be AC and then my student number. But the easiest way to get those Gmails is to contact the tech person at your school. Every beginning of every year, our school usually does a mass reset where we reset every student's password to the same thing. And it could be if your students haven't been using technology at this point, for the tech person at your school to do a mass reset of all passwords. But where you would get those emails and passwords from the technology person at your school. If not, you can also, if you don't have a tech person at your school, the person that I would probably contact is Greg Bagby. He can do a lot of the things and maybe assist getting those to your school as well.
Thank you. That's a great point. If they're not working, if they're not been using technology, then the setup could be a little or have a learning curve. But yeah, definitely contact your tech person. Were there any other questions?
Hey guys, I just want to chime in
Oh,
on
hey.
that. Hey, Mike Ballard, IT. I'm here just kind of lurking a little bit. Greg Bagby would push it off to Matt Smith. So Greg would just be a go-between there. He would not have a list of all the passwords for Google. So we don't want to inundate Matt Smith either, because he is the Google super admin for the entire district. If you don't know who your tech person is, ask your principal. There is somebody designated for every single school, okay? And then if the principal says we don't have one, or that person's left or whatever, at that point it could be elevated. And you know, I don't want everybody to send Matt Smith an email for the same thing. But if you could tell your principal that that needs to happen, yeah, Matt would let you know, or send out a distribution of everybody's email accounts and passwords. Okay.
Awesome.
That
Thank
help?
you.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? All right. So continuing to talk about people, you can also add other teachers to your classes, or my principal and admin team wanted to be added so that they could also interact with students over this distance learning time. So you can invite other teachers or admin onto your class as well. And if I go back to just my classes, here where it says English 12 Blackwell, this is not my class. This is one of my colleagues' classes, Mr. Blackwell, that I am added on as a teacher so that I can see all of his posts, because I teach English 12 as well, so that we can reuse each other's posts and see each other's student work. Again, just another collaborative aspect to Google Classroom. All right, so that kind of covers people. I went a little out of order, but that's okay. So the stream here is where you're going to communicate with your class. So here I could put, good morning, and then post that to the stream, and then everybody would be able to see that. Some cool things that you can do with this, and I'll type this again. I can choose to post that in several of my classes. I have to be careful not to share it to Mr. Blackwell's class. I could share that message with all of my classes, or I could choose which students to share a message with. Right now, I don't have any students in my class, so it just says all. But once you have students in your class, then they all drop down here, and you can choose specific students to see that in their stream. And then when I post, I can also add things. I can add a motivational YouTube video. I can add something from my Google Drive, a link, a file from my computer. And I'll go more into detail about that when we talk about assignments, but you can add things. And then you can also, instead of posting it right away, you can schedule a post. So if I wanted something to go out tomorrow at 8 a.m., I could do that there and not have to worry about it tomorrow at 8 a.m. Or I can save the draft and then post it at a later time if I'm not sure that I need to post it, or maybe need to make some edits later, or I can just hit post and it'll show up there. Any upcoming assignments that are in your class will be listed here. I don't have any assignments yet, so there's nothing there. And then one last thing before we leave the stream is I can reuse a post from another class. So if I were to go to my honors class, I posted something yesterday about struggling with their essay. So I can reuse that post from another class in this current class. So you're not having to retype it over and over again if it's something that you posted recently. So that is the stream. Any questions about the stream? All right. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to use your mic if you don't want to use the chat feature. All right, so this is the tab that I use the most, is the classwork tab. And here's where you would actually put the assignments that students would turn in. So we've got this big create button here. I'm gonna click that. And it gives you a bunch of different options. You can do a regular assignment, you can do a quiz, you can pose a question to the class, you can reuse a post, lots of different options here, but I'm going to just click good old regular assignment. All right, so if I put in a title, I could put something like training assignment, all right? And then you can put in instructions. So I could say something like, read this article and fill out the graphic organizer with your thinking. And then I could, put a link in here for them to click on if the article is online, or I could do that here. I could do something through Google Drive. I could link the article, using a file of my computer, or again, a YouTube video. So it's the same options as the stream, but I'm going to click on my drive here and use this graphic organizer which is actually about parallel structure, but it'll work for what we're doing right now. So I'm adding in this Google Doc, and right here you can see students can view file, and you can choose what students or how students can interact with this Google Doc. So I could just leave it as a view and have it be a resource for students, or I could have students edit the same file if I want it to be like a collaborative type activity, or I could make a copy for each student, which is what I typically do. Are there any questions? I'm seeing a lot in the chat. Anybody want to hop on the mic? All right, I guess Ashley might have it. So when you make a copy for each student, when the student gets their assignment and they start working on it, up in this corner, I don't have it because I'm in the teacher view. Students will click on the doc that I've attached, and automatically in the title of the doc, like Ashley was saying, always title your doc. It automatically has their name in it and the name of the document. So that's nice that the students don't have to worry about, excuse me, students don't have to worry about putting their name up there. It's already there. Yeah, so over here, I can give this assignment to multiple classes. I could give this assignment to specific students, which was really neat when I was in the classroom, because I may have had a small group that didn't quite get text structure, and then I could give them another strategy and practice assignment and not have to give it to the whole class. So again, if I had students in my class, I would have a list here, but I don't have any students yet. And then you can do points for grades, or you can do ungraded. You can give it a due date. So let's say March 20th at 11:59 p.m. You can also give it a topic, and this is really neat if you're going to use Google Classroom a lot, because it kind of tags it, and then when I need to go back and look at all of the assignments that I've done for training, it groups them together because I've given it that topic. So that's a neat feature if you're doing a lot on Google Classroom and have a lot of assignments. There's a rubric feature, which I have not played around with. I guess now is the time for me to do that while we're out of school for a while. And then there's originality reports, which is cool if you are having them write essays, because it will flag assignments for plagiarism from websites online. It does not tell you when students have copied each other. But I've not played around a whole lot with this, but I do know that you can use this on 3 assignments per class. So use it wisely, I guess would be the advice there. All right, and then up here, I can assign it right away. I can schedule it like the announcements in the stream, or I can save the draft if I want to come back to it later. And then once you click assign, takes a minute. Then there's your assignment right there.
While that's loading, could I ask a question?
Yes.
This is Jacob Burgess, Orchard Knob Elementary School. I just started as the music teacher, and I'm kind of creating my classrooms as you're going here. I just created my assignments similar to the way you just did. And when I went up to that drop-down menu by assign, where it says schedule, it's unclickable. Do you have any idea what that might be? Granted, I haven't added any students to this classroom, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe let me, and if anybody else has any thoughts, let me get this filled out again so I can kind of get to where I was. Let's see, just click on this.
That would be my guess is that there's no students in there, so you can't schedule it. Do you want me to join your class real quick?
See, it's letting me though, and I don't
Oh,
have
is
any
it?
students either. That's a good question.
What was your name? Jacob? Who was?
Yeah,
who was that?
Jacob.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In the chat, if you don't mind, just put the code in there for your class.
Sure. Okay.
And then I'll join it and see what's up.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Any questions? My biggest piece of advice is to play around with it before you have a bunch of students added in. About what you can add and play around with YouTube and the link and things like that. And that's how I learn best. I know not everybody's like that, but there's so much in Google. It's really hard to like learn it all perfectly before you start assigning things. So like playing around with it, kind of like what Jake is doing, is great because then you hit snags and figure it out before you've got a bunch of students asking you questions.
So
Anyone else?
Me, Brandy Harlan. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
I was wondering if there were any other K through 2 teachers out there who maybe have any ideas about making this a little more user-friendly for our littles. Mm-hmm. Some of them can barely type. So I just wondered if anybody had any ideas about, what kinds of things to do for like K through 2 kinds of assignments. Is that something we're just gonna have to play around with?
I'll come in. So I actually teach high school. I'm not K2, but a lot of the things that you can create in Google Slides, and Kristen and I have talked about doing a training next week on interactive Google Slides.
Okay.
Things that are like drag and drop. Like I like to give my students some stuff. It's just like matching the colors, and I can look on it really quickly. And if they got the colors correctly, then if the colors are aligned, I know that the assignment was correct. So there are a lot of different things that you can do with creating Google Slides in a way easy for really little kids, and it could be sometimes just matching colors, matching shapes to the correct boxes. So it is possible. The platform that I would suggest is Google Slides. And if you can give me a second, I'm gonna let Kristen continue, and I'm gonna see if I can find something on my computer that I can show you as an example. But I have discussed doing a session on that next week, and it will be beneficial to K2 just like it would be to upper levels in high school. So I'm gonna let her continue this, but I'm gonna see if I can pull up something as an example for you.
Great, thanks.
And Ashley, this is Monica Spillman. Can you hear me?
Yes, Monica.
Hey, so I'm teaching pre-K, and that the Google Slides is exactly what I'm going to be doing. I use them in my classroom daily, so the kids are used to the format. So Google Slides would be a great option.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
And anybody correct me if I'm wrong. So you could use Google Classroom to post a Google slide and make a copy for every student, and then that's where they would do their work.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So, and I'm working on high school level Google Slides right now, but it's kind of like a self-paced learning where they, go at their own pace through each slide and follow the directions. Awesome.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Well, it's not a question, it's maybe an answer. So I've already communicated with Matt Smith about passwords for students in elementary school. The default is their birthday for everybody in elementary, and that is their 8-digit birthday. So month, day, year. Okay. Now, sometimes schools ask for that to be changed to like a default password for all kids in the school. But when things get reset, that's what happens, and PowerSchool does it automatically for them. So you might want to start there. That help?
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions so far?
Kristen, can you unshare and I'll share so I can show her this?
Oh, yeah.
Example of something.
There you go.
Okay. So I tried to pull up something really quick just as an example. This is something that I created for a ninth grade class when we were doing elements of plot. So it's just, as you can see, it's just a PowerPoint. I do put stuff in the edit master so that students can't move stuff. So it makes it so that nothing's movable. But essentially it is a PowerPoint where it's a plot diagram that I made. And then the only thing that my students would do is they would drag the boxes to the correct place on the plot diagram. So they're saying this is the rising action. They would put the rising action there, the inciting incident. They're going to just take the boxes, the answers, and drag it. Nothing else on here moves. The only thing that should move is the boxes that I want them to drag to the correct place. The next slide is one that is a little bit more complicated, but it's the same thing. I built this document for my students, and now they have to drag the element to the correct definition. So on the first one, they were simply putting it in the correct place on the plot diagram. And on the second page, they had to connect the element to its definition. Okay. So I think that that's something that could be simple enough for elementary classrooms. I know that there are, words that they have to read, but if you can simplify it, that could be a possibility of something that could be beneficial to your students.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Perfect.
So I see a question of how do you lock part of the slide? You put it in, so there are two options. So you can either build the background and then save it as a picture and then insert the picture on the background. Okay. So the first one, what I did was I just built the PowerPoint just like I wanted it. I put file, save as. File. Download. You can download it as a PNG or a JPEG, and then you insert the picture as the background. Okay, so that's pretty simple. And then you just have the elements that you want. You put those on there. The other way that you can do it is that you build it in the slide master. So every PowerPoint has a slide, and there's the master page. It's built within the master. So nothing in the master can move. Honestly, if you have other upper high school students, they know how to do some of the stuff, but I've never really had a kid go into my master to try to change anything. Does that answer your question, Lauren? I'm going to unshare, Kristen, and I'll let you go back to classroom.
Thanks. All right, and I'm just about finished because I don't want to overload you with too much more information. But the last thing over here, the last tab, are grades. And I don't typically use this a whole lot. When a student turns in an assignment, I'll give them the grade in Google, but then I go over to PowerSchool and put it in there, obviously. So if we look at my honors class, they have an essay due tomorrow. So I've got 4 kids that have turned this in. This is what it looks like when they start turning assignments in. I can put in a grade there and return it back to them. I can also add comments. I got a little nervous yesterday because a lot of them had no work in their documents. So I added some comments asking if they were working on it and asking about Wi-Fi access and all that. But you can grade it here, add comments, and then I'll click on hers. Return that back to them. All right, come on, there we go. So here I can put in a grade and I can add private comments. I can also add comments within the document about specific things. And then I can return that once I've given it a grade back to the student. But I won't get too far into that. But yeah, 4 kids have turned it in, and all of these have not. So we'll see what happens tomorrow when it's due. So if I go back to GC training, yeah, that's really about all that I have. I don't want to gloss over anybody's questions or concerns. Do we have any of those? We've got time to address any of those.
I might have one more question that would be helpful for other people to see. So, for example, me and Mr. Ballard had just worked on my class to fix that issue earlier. And now I'm trying to figure out how I can either remove him or just do some work with him. So just in case like you had a student who put the wrong code in or something like that, that might be good to see.
Yeah. So let me go to a class that has students. Actually, I need to do this anyway. I have a student in here that moved, and she's been getting all of these. So here's all my kids. So what you can do, there's an action button right here, and let me find the student. She moved, so she doesn't need to be in my class anymore. So I selected her here, and then your actions, you can remove them that way. And it says, are you sure? I am. She's in a different state. So then
Perfect.
I can remove her. Yes.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
While you're doing that, it's a great little feature. If just select another student and go to your actions again. You'll notice also that there is mute on there. That is if you've got a kid that is being inappropriate on the feed, on the stream, you can mute that kid and keep them in the class. And you only have to do it once, and then kids are like, oh, I don't want to not talk. So let them know that you can do that to them. Yeah,
for sure. I've never had to do that actually, but that's good to have on your back
You don't
pocket.
teach middle school then?
No, I've got high school.
There you go.
Yeah, they just Snapchat each other about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking about like adding other teachers. Like here, my admin people here, they wanted to be in on the classes. So yeah, and then there's an invite guardians feature here, which I don't typically fool with because I have high schoolers. But if you're K-12, it might be a good idea to think about doing that. And type a name or email here. Is anybody in the group that's used the invite guardians feature and can speak about it?
So what it does is it sends, it'll send a parent an email. You can either set it up, they can set up to be weekly or daily. So it'll send students a parent email saying these are the assignments that were assigned. These are the ones that their child actually completed or turned in. But so the parent can't see what they turned in, but it'll kind of notify them that these are assignments that have not been submitted as of the due date. So it is a good.
But you do. Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, sorry. I was going to say you do need to have email addresses for those parents, and that's one of the hardest parts is getting valid email addresses that are going to work. They do not have to be Gmail addresses though. So if I believe they'll even go like Yahoo and EPBFI, and that you do need those email addresses from parents to be able to invite them to see. And the parent only sees what their kid is doing. So a parent can see what you've assigned, but one parent can't see another kid's grades or anything like that. So just so you know.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry. And one other thing, while we're right here talking about classroom and while we've got the co-teachers listed, after you guys create your first class, and I would create just a practice class, a throwaway class, just to kind of mess around in it. But then I would recommend get some other people at your school, team members, people that you know and trust, get them to join as students. You join their classes as students. Practice on each other before you get your kids coming in here. Just a
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yep.
Just so like I was, playing around with it, you learn a lot, but you don't want to play around with it when you have actual students freaking out about not being able to do what you want them to do. Cool. I'm going to come off screen sharing unless anybody else wants to see anything else.
We have a little bit more time. Stacey Alverson is asking a question. So, Kristin, if you unshare, I can show you how to do it really quick. She's asking about how do you embed a recorded video clip into your slide. So I'm going to share my screen and show you how to do this really quick. There are going to be a lot of opportunities over the next few weeks, and specifically tomorrow, there'll be office hours. So some of these questions that you have in general, you can kind of sign up for an office hours, and then someone will be available to just talk with you and walk you through different things. But I'm just on slides. You can see it's the same slide that I put up before. If I want to insert a video, I'm going to click insert, and I'm going to go to video. It gives me the options that I can search a YouTube video. If I have the URL to that, I can do the URL, or I can do just my drive. So these are just some videos that I have inside my Google Drive. I'm just going to click this one, and then I just click select. And at that point, it just embeds the video into my Google Slides. Did that answer your question, Stacey?
It did, Ashley. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Lauren's got a question. Is there a feature that allows parent emails to be sent in other languages? Mike, do you have anything on that? I don't know the answer.
I was typing an answer then, but it's
sorry.
probably easier just to talk about it. That's cool. I am not aware of anything that does that. I mean, you would almost have to set up each individual guardian and their language for that to be automatically done. A workaround is put your email into Google Translate, let it translate it, sometimes poorly, but it'll at least get the message across. And then you can email individual guardians for individual students. Again, that's a little bit of extra work and a workaround, but it would be possible to do it that way. Or, great thing that you could teach your kids how to do is you email their parents, and then one of your assignments could be, hey, if your parents' native language is not English, here's how you use Google Translate to translate what I'm saying to them. So get the kids to teach their parents. Would be my recommendation. Easier work on the teacher. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so we actually have about 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any other questions that we can answer, either about the Google platform or about Google Classroom? We also do have an evaluation that we'd like you all to fill out. Greg Bagby posted it in the chat. But we have about 5 minutes. If you have any last questions you'd like for us to answer or to help you figure something out.
And I would just say, take advantage of those office hours tomorrow. And then if you have any questions, I'm actually going to type my email address in here. Feel free to email me, especially about Google Classroom. I would love to help you one-on-one if you need it.
I don't know. We have a question about, is it possible to get a certificate for participating today? Do you know what the district stance is on that?
I'm going to put on my video for this. I'll say, here's your certificate. Yay, you did a great job. Man, I really wish we've talked about micro-credentialing, but that's a whole program that's probably not a good time to roll out something like that. I can bring it up with some folks since you have requested it, but right now I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it would be difficult for us to get PD hours, fulfillment hours while we're actually being paid. So that could become an issue. I mean, I think some of the sessions that they're going to be offering that I saw was like at night, so that could be a question. But the ones that actually within happen within school hours, see that being an issue.
Mary Beth, are you asking about the form to fill out for what?
The evaluation, I'm gonna post it again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I'm posting it again. So everyone should see it posted from me.
Got it.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. And there will be other sessions throughout the next day and throughout the next few weeks that'll probably be more advanced in the session that we did. So I would honestly suggest jumping on to quite a few of those. There'll be ones like someone asked a question about using interactive Google Slides like the one I showed. Kristen and I discussed this morning possibly doing a session over that. So we want to make sure that us as a district and with our help, we're kind of providing these things for teachers. So thank you all so much for joining us, and you all have a good day.
Yes, thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Y'all did great.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. All right. Bye.